What's up, guys, and welcome back to a conversation with John. This is episode 6, and today I want to talk about the movie Weapons. I went to go see it over this weekend, and it was absolutely wonderful. I loved the movie a lot. I've heard people from reviews I've seen online saying it's the movie of the summer. I mean, of the year, and it definitely is right up there with Sinners. I mean, it almost might be a little bit better than Sinners because I think that this you couldn't really predict what was going to happen, so to speak. So it was definitely a really good movie. Um, but basically, if you haven't seen it, it's about this town and this teacher. Her name is Justine, and everybody in her class disappears except one little boy, Alex. And through the course of the movie, it's definitely a horror movie. Some jump scares in there. It's some definitely cringy moments, funny moments, and definitely suspenseful. It's overall a good movie. So I'm gonna try to do this without giving too much of the movie away. I'm gonna try, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it, but I'm definitely gonna try. So, like I said, we start off with Justine. She comes into work one day and all the kids in her class are gone except Alex. So the police begin to question her to kind of see like what happened to all the kids in your class. And they also kept questioning the little boy, like, okay, is it something that y'all been watching on TV? Anything, any plans or anything going on that would cause everybody 17 kids to just disappear and you're the only one left and nobody knows what's kind of going on. So like one night they have a parents teacher conference and all the parents are upset trying to figure out what's going on or whatever, and why all their 17 kids in this class have disappeared and nobody has an answer, and everybody's blaming Justine. And one of the kids' father, I think the little boy's name was Matthew, his father Archer is very vocal, like, we need to know what's going on, like, where are our kids, and we need her to let us know what's going on. And so she comes up and she starts to speak in front of the school and is like, well, I don't really know, I do love those kids or whatever. And like, the people ain't really trying to hear it. They want to know what's going on. And I didn't mention this earlier. The way the movie is shot, or did I say that? I don't fucking know. The way the movie is shot, it's like from this perspective of six different people, like six of the main people in the story. So we start off with Justine. Yeah, her name is Justine and her point of view, and it tells the story from her point of view. Then we move on to the next person, Archer, and his perspective. And how it works is, like, as we're going through Justine's part of it, there are certain points in when she starts interacting with the other characters in the movie, and then when it switches to their part, it starts going the story from their point of view, from why everything else is going on. So at that point in which they're at the PTA conference, and what is her name? Justine leaves. When it picks up on Archer's part, it picks up from that point as well. So that's how it's kind of shot. But back to Justine and her part of it. One of the things I will say about her part is there's definitely a sense of minding your own goddamn business in this movie. Like, you gotta learn to mind your own business, especially from her. Like, so she went to one of the things, she went to Alex's house just to kind of talk to him and his family, because like they had told her not to come to work anymore because nobody want to be bothered with her. So she's just been drinking a lot. And so she went to these people's house. She knocked on the door. Nobody answered the door. So she decided to go around the back of their house and peeping through the windows and stuff. And then she sees his parents sitting in their living room, and it kind of scares her. I'm not going to say anything else about that because that's part of the movie. But yeah, just lady, mind your own business. And another thing with Justine, like, so she ends up being cheating with Paul, who's another character in the movie. He's a cop. Mind you, he's a cop, but his father-in-law is the chief of police, and he's married. I think his wife is Donna. So he ends up cheating on his wife with Justine. I guess they used to have a history or some shit. I don't fucking know. I don't remember. But one of the crazy parts with her is while Justine is in the liquor store, because that's all she does is drink, because she means you don't know what to do. And all this shit is going on. The Donna runs up on her at the liquor store, and I'm thinking that she's gonna fight her or something like that. She just grabs a bottle of alcohol and pours it on her, and like, it's just like, why? So that's her part. And then we get to Archer as it goes into his part of the story. Now, Archer, he is like one of the main reasons why we start figuring out what may have happened to these kids, because he goes to the police and he's talking to them, and like we don't like they're giving him no answers, like they're working with the FBI and all this, that, and the third, but they're not really giving him any answers. He's trying to understand what happened to his son. So of course, like he starts trying to go talk to Julia and all this, that, and third. And I don't know why I keep thinking, because her real name is Julia. That's why her actual name in the story is Justine. So he tries to go talk to Justine or whatever and trying to get some answers from her and all of this stuff. But one of the things that he does is he notices on the Ring camera in his house that his son runs out the door and it runs in a straight line towards the woods. And all the kids, the stupid trend the kids was doing a while ago. It's like they had their hands behind their back and they be running like that. So all the kids was doing that. And so he noticed on his Ring camera that his son ran in a straight line towards this what is it, electrical tower. So in seeing that, he kind of put two and two together and went to one of the other kids' house and got their parents to see their Ring camera footage and kind of started unfolding the story from there during his part. Um, yeah, then who else? Then we have Paul, like I said, who's a cop who's cheating on his wife. So after he ends up cheating on his wife, he's with Justine, and he gets home and his wife finds out. That's when she goes to confront Justine in her part of the story. But the crazy thing about Paul is a cop. And so he ended up chasing after this dude whose name is James, who gets his own part of the story, who's a junkie. And I knew that James had to be a part of this story as well, because when I first saw him in Justine's part, like he was standing outside of the store begging for money. And I know that I've seen him in something before, but I couldn't place him. I knew he was like a up and coming actor. So I'm like, okay, he's gonna have something to do with it. But yeah, James is basically a fucking junkie. And the first time that him and Paul um interact with each other, he ends up busting James trying to break into this building trying to get some money or whatever. And so he's patting him down. He's like, as all cops ask, do you have anything in your pockets that will stick me? And he's like, no. But then when he reaches in James's pocket, he ends up getting stuck by a needle and he starts freaking the fuck out because apparently he used to be an addict or at least an alcoholic because he went to Alcoholics Anonymous because that's something him and his wife was talking about. And it's just like, okay, so do all addicts just run around with needles in their pockets? Like I would think that if you running around with a needle in your pocket with no cap or nothing on it, like you would stick your own fucking self. But I guess if you an addict, it don't really matter. You trying to stick. I don't know. But that was a weird part about it. So Paul went crazy after he got stuck with that needle. He turned off his no, immediately he got stuck with the needle and he punched James in the face. And then he got in his car to try to get a band-aid and he realized like, oh, my video footage was recorded. And he turned it off. So that was the funny part with Paul. And then James becomes to be a major part of the story. I'm not going to say why, but James becomes to be a major part of the story because he's a junkie and he's always looking for money and stealing and stuff like that. So that I'm just leave that at James. But one of the things that he does come back into contact with Paul. Paul, after their first encounter, says like, I don't ever want to see you again. If I see you again, I'm gonna bust you. So James ended up walking around and ended up meeting up with Paul again. And James is homeless, so he lives in the wood, and so he lives in the woods. And so Paul sees him and he starts chasing him. And he ends up running into the woods and gets inside of his tent. But then, not to give too much away, but something happens and it scares James, and he gets in his tent and he's scared. So he what does he do? He gets in his tent or whatever, which is fucking crazy to begin with. He gets in his tent and he don't have no weapons or nothing, so he grabs a bunch of needles that he has shooting up with, and he just standing in his tent and he's waiting. And then you can see from the screen that the tent slowly unzips, and because he's scared, he grabs the needle and he stabs, and it ends up being James. I mean, yeah, it ends up being Paul. He ends up getting stabbed in the face with like 3 or 4 different needles, and it's just like it's kind of crazy. But yeah, so that's about James and Paul. And then we have Marcus. Okay, so Marcus is I guess the principal at the school that Justine works at. And he's the one that tells Justine, like, okay, look, it's a lot of going on. Like, you need to stay away from this school. Like, go home and I'm gonna sit here and handle up on everything. Um, what can I say without giving too much away? Um, as they did in Sinners about inviting people in your house. Now, not James, Marcus, he's married. I guess I'm assuming he's married. He has a husband or whatever. And so somebody comes to their house and without giving too much away, and it's just like the whole thing about with Sinners and the vampires, like inviting people into your house. Like the person is like, oh, well, invite me in. And Marcus is like, no. But then his white husband comes up. He's like, you sure? Come on in. And that ends up being something gonna happen after that without giving too much of the story away. But don't be inviting people in your house. And so then we got Alex, the last person that has their portion of the story. Because I'm trying not to give too much away, so people can actually go, so people don't see it, whatever, without giving too much of the story away. But then we have Alex, the little boy, who is the only one that is left after all his friends. 17 people in his class go missing. And I will say this: Alex was going through it during this whole movie. Like once you figure out like what is kind of happening, Alex definitely was going through it. He was definitely going through it. But in the end, Alex did his big one. He did what needed to be done. And during Alex's part of the story, I will say that there is a scene with a what was it? With a damn with a fucking potato peeler. That was cringy as fuck with that damn potato peeler. Justine and that fucking potato peeler, that was cringy as fuck. What else? And then at the end, that at the end, I'm just gonna say turned every which way but loose. That's what happened at the end. Turned every which way but loose. I ain't gonna say what happened, but turned every which way but loose. That's what happened. But yes, overall, I don't think I gave very much away, but that's my opinion of the movie. It was really good. I definitely enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen it, go see it. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it was a good movie. Like I said, the potato peeler scene, that was one of them. The him getting stabbed in the face with them needles, that was another cringy part of it. There was some other stuff that was jump scares, but I don't want to give too much away. And so yeah, there were some jump scares that was just like, oh, okay. And what else? When Donna popped up on the scene, and I thought she was gonna beat Justine ass, but she didn't. So yeah, overall, it was a good movie. I definitely enjoyed it, and you should go watch it too. I highly recommend, and you will enjoy it too. Until next time, this has been a conversation with